before we get up there, you always want to make sure before you climb up on any loads, really anytime you're working around the trailer, securing freight anyway, but especially when you're about to climb up on top of something high like this, you got your helmet on. Because if you fall, I'm sure you don't want to have your brains coming out of your skull. That would be a very bad day. What's up guys, the Everyday Trucker here. I'm back with another video, and it's the beginning of the week. I just made a delivery to this location you see behind me here. It's kind of like not necessarily a train yard per se, but they deal with some stuff similar to that here. I delivered some plywood. Coming off of a good weekend, because this load that I just delivered about 30 minutes away from where I park the truck for the weekend. So I was technically already parked up. I had my park up points on Friday already, you know, as soon as I touched down and was ready to go home. So I did not have to leave until this morning, Monday morning, and I still got my park up points, which is awesome. It's always great when things work out that way. You know, that's happened to me a few times in the past. You know, where you do the majority of your driving on Friday and you get really close to where you're delivering. For my situation, I'm like pretty much right on top of where I was delivering to, which is great. But the drawback of that is I got here like 8 o'clock this morning, and I'm waiting for a dispatch still. It's like 11:15. Part of that was because this place took a while to unload me. Like, my delivery paperwork did not have a appointment time on it, and there was no appointment time set on my load screen. And I get here and I go to check in, and they tell me that my appointment is at noon. And I'm thinking that what happened, they did that for everybody's paperwork. Like, they did not put the delivery appointment times on anybody's paperwork, because this place was filled up, like out to the street. I'm parked next to their exit here off to the side, but the line was almost out to the street, and there's like not a lot of space back there behind me here to get unloaded. It's pretty much enough space for you to pull in, get unloaded, and leave. And I guess it worked out for me in the event that I'm in right now, because like I was like the second to last guy to get unloaded, and there was like 6 trucks here, and I ended up being the last one to stay here, so I got this spot where I could park. Otherwise, you know, I would have had to go drive out of route somewhere to a truck stop or a rest area, because there's nowhere very close to here to park. I mean, at least not without me having to kind of drive, you know, off a ways a bit, maybe like 30 or so minutes. We're coming off of a really bad storm from last week. You know, pretty much the whole Northeast and a lot of the Midwest got annihilated by snow. You know, snow bad enough to shut highways down, and like stop highways across the state. Like Pennsylvania got wiped out. Iowa, they got smashed like so badly that there's like a tow ban, so tow trucks couldn't come out there and rescue you if you went off the road. You know, you get caught up in a ditch or something. You know, TMC had our guys, anybody that was in Iowa, you know, at the terminal, you had to stay put until all those advisories, you know, the tow bans and, you know, the winter storm issues were resolved. You know, otherwise you could be in a really bad spot for yourself, you know, being trapped in your truck in a snow ditch, you know, and they can't send anybody out there to get your truck out of the snow. Fortunately, here where I am, down here in North Carolina, there is no snow. It's actually pretty warm down here right now. It's probably in the 50s, but I'm thinking possibly that issue with the snow, because the snow is still up there right now. I don't know if it's necessarily as bad as it was at the end of last week when I came home, but I'm sure that there's still a whole bunch of trucks in the ditch. You know, the weather's probably pretty crazy up there, so I know it's going to be cold. I mean, it happens like this every year. Every year, the Midwest going up that I-80 corridor, you know, it just gets annihilated by the snow. And every year that I've been with TMC, when I've drove around that area, like, there's always been trucks off in the side of the ditch, turned over on their sides, you know, every single year that I've been here. And I've been with TMC almost 3 years. you know, and I do not want to go up there. And I'm thinking that could be part of the reason why I've been sitting here waiting for a load for so long, possibly. Where I am in the south, you know, I would venture to say the majority of the loads are going to be going up north somewhere, or possibly to the Midwest. And it could be a thing where the fleet managers are not wanting to send trucks up that way. Maybe. I haven't asked anybody, but that's just me assuming from the position that I'm in. So the only directions I could go really avoiding that would be down to Florida, you know, down that direction, which I don't want to go because freight in Florida is not good, does not pay well. You know, you can get stuff that pays well going down into Florida, but coming back out, I've never had a huge payday coming out of Florida. That, or, you know, maybe driving west towards, you know, the Alabama area, but I don't know about that either. I don't know. Hopefully I'm not sitting here waiting for too much longer. You know, like I said, it's almost noon. Yeah, about 40 minutes from now. And in a situation like that, the longer that you wait in the day, usually the slimmer pickings the freight is. On top of that, my fleet manager is off today, so I got a stand-in. And I don't know how the stand-in fleet manager operates. I'll probably touch base with them again and see, hopefully we can get something rolling, because I do not want to be in a position where I have to drive late tonight, because usually what happens on Mondays is if you have a full clock, you know, the fleet managers will try to find a load that between driving to pick it up and driving to deliver it will use up just about, if not all of the hours that are on your clock. So I don't want to be in a position where I'm driving all day long and driving late into the night, or, you know, where I have to make the decision on whether or not I want to do that. Because let me see, I have 10.5 hours on my clock right now as far as drive time, and I have 12.5 hours of duty time. Like I said, I was really close to this place. I was only like 30 minutes away from where I parked for the weekend. So needless to say, I don't want to have to drive really far today if I can avoid it. I mean, if I'm going to drive far, I'd rather have that start off early in the day, early in the morning, you know, when I do that long driving, and not like midday, because I'll still have to go pick something up. Now, with that being said, there's probably a few different spaces in the general area that I'm in of North Carolina right now where I could go pick something up, I think. But that doesn't always mean anything. Just because you're close to some of the customers that your company has at the moment does not mean you're going to get sent to those specific ones. You know, I could get somewhere that's like 2 hours from here to go pick something up that's going to be in a favorable direction. It just depends on what the route planner and the dispatcher have, you know, set up for you. Because I'm coming back home this weekend. I prefer not to run during the winter months if I can, because I don't want to be trapped in a winter snowstorm like a lot of guys were last week. You know, a lot of guys got snowed in, you know, DOT shutting guys down, you know, and you got to worry about, you know, chaining up, or, you know, getting stuck in a snowstorm, or, you know, getting blown off the road because of the wind. And I don't want to deal with any of that if I can avoid it. I was out for the last 2 weeks, and I was fortunate enough to get away from those areas that got hit by the snow really badly. Like, I was in Kansas like 2 weeks ago, and that area got blasted during the snowstorm from last week. So hopefully I will stay away from that stuff, you know, and I'll be back on the road running heavy again. Probably around the beginning of the March. You know, usually the snow is the worst in, you know, late January, mid-January, and then February. Until then, I'm going to stay close to home, coming home every week, most likely, unless I get offered, you know, some freight. I'm in the right place, right time that pays well enough for me to justify taking that risk. Most cases, it's not going to be worth it. You know, because if you have a load that pays really well, you know, it's supposed to be like a next day to delivery, or a drive for 2 days, and then you deliver it, and then you end up getting snowed in somewhere, and you've lost all that time. Plus, you're not going to be able to pick up new freight until you get rid of the stuff you already had. You know, you didn't gain anything. You lost out, actually, because you got stuck and you were having to sit and wait. So we'll see. I'll check in with you guys once I get some notification on a new dispatch for today. Hopefully it's not going to take too long. All right, just gave my stand-in fleet manager a call, and they confirmed what I was already assuming. Like I told you guys before, the weather has got things messed up all around me. As you can see, the area that I'm in here, North Carolina, is very good. Everything's clear, no snow on the ground at all. It's not even very cold. It's probably like in the, like I said, the upper 50s. Feels real comfortable. But going north, going west, and can't go any further east than North Carolina from where I am here, but going north and going west, even down in Louisiana and Texas, they got ice they're dealing with, and you know, north is bombed right now from the storm from last week. Everything's still trying to get cleared, so things are slow right now because I think they're trying to make sure that they don't set drivers up for failure that are in the region. They don't want to have you pick something up and then send you up into a snowy, icy mess and have you in a bad predicament potentially up there. But not exactly sure how long I'm going to be waiting. I mean, who knows? I mean, when I put my empty in, I have no idea exactly how many other drivers put their empties in before me that are in my area. So the way TMC does their dispatch is like first come, first serve. So, you know, the first guy to put his empty in, say he puts his empty in at 7 a.m. He's first on the board for the area that you're in, like the radius area that they pull dispatches from. So, I don't know. I could be, you know, 12th in my area. I could be, you know, 15th. Who knows? I don't know how many guys, other TMC guys are around here, but whoever is around before me, and then that means however many loads are available within the area to pick, because I'm sure they probably go, you know, closest and then furthest out as far as customers that you can pick up from that are closest to you versus the ones that are farther away from you. So just waiting on that. There's a lot of different factors it's all depending on, but my clock is frozen, like I said, so I'm not losing any time. I did have to move because, let me see if I can show you guys. There's a Conestoga, if you can see in my mirrors right there, that is getting loaded up. Let's see if you can see it. I think you can see it right there in the mirror, but he's getting loaded up with some kind of stuff. I don't know what that is, but they're filling it up with the machine that's right there above the trailer. So I needed to move away from that spot, but I'm right here where I can hook around and circle back out to where I was when I need to leave. Hopefully I'll have something dispatched soon enough. I don't want it to be a thing where I'm out here and I completely don't have a load at all to pick up for the day. I don't want that, but if that does end up being the case, I'm just gonna go park the truck for the day and call Mrs. Erudite, have her come pick me up, take me back home, sleep in my own bed for the night. If that ends up being the case, I hope it is not, but if it is, at least I'm at home. You know, beats better, or it beats, you know, being hundreds of miles away from home and being stuck without a load to pick up. You know, having to sleep in the truck and just eat that, not making any money for the day. But we'll deal with that when it comes, if it does. But I'll check in with you guys when I have some traction. I guess I'll settle in and find something to do. All right, guys, have an update, and I am pretty much dead in the water today. Me and a whole lot of other guys in the fleet, just because of the weather in other parts of the country. The snowstorm has really got things messed up, and even though things are clear where I am, a lot of the spots where I could be going are having very severe weather issues because of the snow and the ice and the wind. So it's not looking good for getting anything today. Pretty much got clearance to just go ahead and park the truck for today, and most likely we'll be waiting until tomorrow morning to get dispatched on something. It is what it is on that, you know. Like I told you guys earlier, I'm like really close to home, so I'm probably just gonna go ahead and park and see about getting Mrs. Erudite to pick me up and just drop me back off at the truck in the morning when I get dispatched on something. I suppose it's the best way that it could have ended. You know, it could have been worse. I could have been, you know, up north or even, you know, out west or a little bit southwest and gotten stuck in a snowstorm and been trapped in the truck at a truck stop or who knows where on the side of the road waiting, you know, so being right next to home and not having a freight, I guess it's preferable, because I could be out on the road elsewhere with no freight still, trapped in the snow. So it is what it is on that. I'm not really too upset considering everything that's going on, you know. But this just gives me an opportunity to get a whole lot of other things done, because it's like right around 3:40 or so, 3:45, something like that. So it's still relatively early. Man, I need to drink some water. But it's still relatively early in the day, so I got plenty of other things I could be doing in the meantime, just not related to trucking. So we'll get that done, and we will rest easy today, and we will have a super fresh full clock in the morning. Since we stopped so early today, my clock's gonna refresh, you know, in the twilight hours, or more so around, I guess, midnight, I guess. I'll pick up with you guys in the morning, because I think I want to extend this video. It's been kind of short, just because it's pretty much just been me waiting around and telling you guys about it. But we'll pick it up in the morning, see where we're going and what we're going to pick up. Hopefully the snowstorm will have been dealt with in the aspect of like salt trucks, plows. They'll be able to clear the roads, the highway, so we won't have a treacherous trip in whatever direction I have to go tomorrow. But we'll pick it up in the morning, guys. All right, guys, good morning. It's the next day, and we actually ended up getting a pre-plan yesterday evening, and we're going to South Carolina to pick up, and we're going to be delivering to Orlando, Florida. We're getting some insulation. Now, I know yesterday I was like, hopefully I'm not going down to Florida or something like that, just because, you know, the rates down there aren't very good. But the load that I have right now, it's good to take me down there. You know, it's paying nicely to deliver, and you know, it's keeping me further away from the snow. You got to keep that in mind, because stuff is not 100% cleared up, you know, in all the other directions yet. So that at least buys me a little bit of time of not having to potentially deal with inclement weather. I'm going home this week anyway, so you don't want to go too far. Tomorrow is when this load delivers. Well, the thing about it, when I deliver this load, there's a stipulation on this saying that the load can't be delivered any earlier than 30 minutes before my appointment time. But on my load screen, the appointment time says that it is noon. I'm hoping that that will not actually be the case, and I won't have to wait until 11:30 to deliver at this consignee, because right now it's really early. It's like 6:30 in the morning. You can see, still dark out. And I'm about to leave so I can be one of the first people to get loaded out of the shipper. And it's only gonna be like a 6.5 hour drive to where I'm gonna park, because unfortunately there's no parking at the consignee, and that's something that you're gonna have to deal with occasionally. In my experience, I deal with that a lot in like the states of Georgia and Florida. You know, the parking situations are not always good as far as like parking at consignees. Florida in general, their parking is just not good, whether it's like a rest area or a truck stop. You know, the truck stops down there, in my experience, fill up really early in the day, you know, and it just does not work out great. I tend to park at the rest areas if I can, because like I said, the truck stops are always filled up, and it's also an option to park at the DOT weigh stations. And a lot of guys don't like doing that because they don't want to give DOT an opportunity to, you know, bother them for anything. But in my experience, man, I like parking at the DOT weigh stations, because anytime I get inspected by DOT, I make money, because my truck and load are always up to code. And here at TMC, you get paid anytime you have a clean inspection. So it's like 40 bucks for a clean standard inspection and $100 for a clean hazmat inspection. And you guys know how I roll. You know, I'm always very technical with the way I secure my freight and maintain the technical difficulties with the camera cut out on me. But like I said, always very technical with how I'm securing my freight, maintaining the truck, very meticulous with how I do things out here. So they can inspect me if they want to. All they're doing is helping me get paid. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I'm gonna hit the road because my clock is refreshed already. My 10 hour is been refreshed like hours and hours ago since I parked so early yesterday. But I'm gonna check in with my fleet manager and see about that delivery time, see if they can get that moved up, because I'm only gonna be like an hour away from the delivery location, and my clock is going to refresh way earlier than 11 a.m. tomorrow, you know. So I'll check. Wish me luck on that, guys, but let's go get out of here and get this load. Okay, we're here at the shipper, and as you can see, we're getting some insulation like that truck over there. I've been to this place many times in the past. It's been quite a long time since I've been here though. But if you have one insulation load, you've had them all. They're all very similar to do. There's a couple things about this. It's raining right now, like I showed you guys. It's coming down pretty nicely. Now that makes doing this type of load more dangerous, because this particular place does not have any fall protection. What they're gonna do is, once they're done loading me, they're gonna take my tarps and use the forklift to put the tarps on top of the load. And after that, I'm gonna have to use that ladder right there and climb up on top of the load, which is gonna be, I don't know, up there close to 13'6", I would venture to say. So I'm gonna have to very carefully climb up on top of this, because the plastic that this insulation is covered in becomes very slick and slippery when it's wet. So that highly increases the likelihood of me slipping and falling off the load. So what you want to do, even when it's not raining outside, it would be the safer thing to do, but especially when it's raining like it is right now, you want to crawl on your hands and knees when you're on top of some freight that's like this, that has a very high possibility of you falling off if you're not careful. Fortunately, I'm the second guy here, because I got a day cab and it's not marked for the name of this business. So I'm the second guy here, so we'll get loaded quickly. And I believe it's gonna be like a 6.5 hour drive to the place where I'm planning on parking tonight. Like I told you guys, I'm planning on parking at the way station, which will be about an hour away from my delivery location. And it's gonna be very quick, very quick route, because we're going down south. And it's raining here, since it's probably snowing further up north, but I know there's not gonna be any snow in Florida. I would bet any amount of money on that. It never snows down there. So that part's cool. We should have an early work day getting done, which will leave me with more time to do other things, which I love. But I'll show you guys once I get done with this. Oh, you know what? One other thing. You can check this out. With this insulation, there was a stipulation on my load screen saying that this freight must be kept dry. And that is a very obvious problem, because they are loading me outside in the rain as we speak. You can see in my mirror, forklift guy there, that guy's insulation over there. And as you can see here, right here on my load screen, RMAX loads must be kept dry. So in the event of that, when you run into a situation like I'm in right now, call your fleet manager, or actually no, call your safety manager. Call your safety manager and let them know that you are getting loaded in the rain, and that's just how the shipper is doing it. So that way the safety manager can mark in the system that you called ahead of time to let them know that the load is going to be wet, because that's how the shipper is loading you. They'll mark it in the system so that stuff doesn't come back on you if the consignee has a problem with it when you bring it down there to deliver it to them. You know, you always want to be focused on covering yourself for safety, you know, not falling off a load, you know, for being safe out of the road when you're driving, and especially when it comes to load claims. You know, make sure that you do everything that you're supposed to do so that nothing comes back on you and you always get paid. So that's going to be marked in the system, you know, and I'm just going to secure this load like I normally would. Now, it's not going to make a point to try to tarp the load first to try to keep it dry, because it's already getting rained on. But also, when you have this insulation, as you can see right there, if you try to climb on that without it being strapped down first, since those insulation bundles are all separate pieces, there's, like, you can see the separation between the bundles up there. If you try to move around or walk or climb on top of that without it being secured by straps, it is very likely to separate and fall off the sides of the trailer while you're on it, you know. So definitely don't climb on top of an unsecured load, especially now something like this. So I'm gonna throw my straps, secure it like I normally would, and I'm gonna take my time climbing on top of that load to roll out my tarps. Very, very dangerous if you are not careful. We should be loaded pretty quickly. Yeah, I think he's only got 2 more stacks to put on the trailer from what I can see. So they'll probably have me move to, like, you can see the painted yellow lines there. They'll probably have me move to one of these spots to finish securing this stuff and to roll out my tarps. I'm gonna have to get my tarps out so they can put them on top of the trailer in a second. But we'll do that, and I'll show you guys how I'm going to secure this and take you up top of this load here so you can see what I see and see how high it is when you're up on top of this stuff. All right, super easy load. I have another video, maybe like a couple videos of me securing insulation. So pretty much the same thing. This one, since I have to tarp it, I'm not gonna put the double strap in the very front. Like the very front of the load, you'll usually see me do like a 2-inch strap right here, and then the 4-inch strap here, and then another one here in the back. But since I have to put a tarp on this one, I'm not gonna do that because I don't have to worry about the wind resistance pushing up against the load because it's gonna be covered by the tarp. So that 2-inch strap doesn't do anything really to hold the weight down to the trailer. I mean, it helps a little bit, but that's not the purpose of having it there. It's to prevent the wind resistance from tearing the very front of that bundle of insulation. And like I said, the tarp's gonna prevent that this time, so we don't have to worry about it. So it's gonna take a total of 10 straps, 2 on each of these bundles here, and there's 5 bundles down there all the way to the end, and then we'll go ahead and tarp it. And that's the main part I want to show you guys here on how to be very careful and what I do when I'm up here on these. And like I've shown you guys before, or maybe not in the long form video, but easy way to throw a strap over a really tall load like this. Get your strap right here, let some slack out, about that much. Get a rabbit ear, fold it over the back, and hold on to the rabbit ear. And then of course, hold on to the buckle, hold on to it tight. Because if you don't, when you throw this strap, this part could come up, whip up, hit you in the mouth. And you guys don't want to miss any teeth, of course, or hit yourself in the nose, because that would not be a good thing. And you use momentum to throw this. You don't have to have a whole lot of shoulder strength, just momentum. It's very good for people who have shoulder issues, if you got rotator cuff problems or anything like that. So let's go ahead and get this over. I'll show you guys how it works in real time. Works every time. Just make sure you're standing far enough back from the trailer so that you don't short stroke it and slap the load because you're standing too close. Give yourself like maybe about 5 feet back from the trailer, 5-6 feet, something like that. You'll be good. Yeah, man. Get it all done.
might not be a lot of slack left over for you to make a cushion for your rail here. But what I do, I just keep it flat. I don't fold it end over end. I'll just keep it flat and then roll up what I can. I want to try to get at least 1 or 2 full revolutions with the winch, so that there's a good amount of bite of the strap wrapped up into the winch itself. And as you can see, I still have some of the strap right here to protect the main strap from the rail. You always want to have that. You don't want your strap to get cut by any chance. And then we can winch it down like normal. Gotta love a ratcheting winch bar. Love, love, love this thing. It is perfect for loads that are soft, that you want to tweak just enough. You don't have to keep on removing the winch bar from the winch for each revolution that you want to make. Okay guys, we made it to the most dangerous part of doing this load here. We're gonna have to climb up top of the trailer using this ladder. Now, what you need to do every single time when you're in a position where you need to use a ladder to climb up on top of a load, especially when you don't have any fall protection. Fall protection meaning a net on the side of the trailer if you fall, or a harness that's connected to a cable in the ceiling that will catch you if you fall off the trailer. There is nothing for this one. Your safety is 100% on you. So starting with this ladder, you want to inspect the ladder. See how easily it rolls, if it does what it's supposed to do, going backwards and forwards. But the most important thing that I would say you need to be checking is the brakes. This is a brake pedal on this one. Let's get both of them. This one has 2. Hold on. There it is. Okay, now we have them both out where we can get to them. So you want to test this brake pedal. You saw how easily I was moving it before. You want to depress this pedal, so step on it and make sure it goes down. Get the other one. And what that does, you can see that lever, and then there's this piece right here of rubber that touches the wheel and stops it from moving forwards or backwards. At least that's what it's supposed to do. Now, if this ladder is operating properly, when I push against this ladder, it should not move now since I have both of the brakes activated. Look at that. Now that's a problem. So you want to make sure are both brakes activated properly. If not, you want to find a different ladder to use, because that should not be moving. Let's try that again. See if that was user error or if this thing really doesn't work well. Yeah. Okay, there we go, I see. So it'll roll forwards, but it won't roll backwards. See, it's not moving me pulling it backwards, but it moves me pushing it forward. So in theory, if I have this thing up against the trailer right there with me walking on it, in theory it would be moving backwards if the brakes are not locked properly, and it will push the ladder away from the load and I could fall off that way. But me pushing it forward, it should go right up to the load and sit still, so it should be safe for me to use it. But you always want to check every single time, make sure the equipment's not faulty, because in a situation like this, like I said, there's no fall protection here, so everything is on you. You got to make sure, because your life depends on this thing. it depends on it working properly, and you don't want it to roll away while you're up on top of the load. You'll be stuck. You'll have to be screaming for help to get somebody to push the ladder back up to where you are so you can climb back down. But let's go ahead and get up there, get this load tarped. We can get on the road. I'll show you a bird's eye view once we're up there. All right, guys, before we get up there, you always want to make sure before you climb up on any loads, really anytime you're working around the trailer, securing freight anyway, but especially when you're about to climb up on top of something high like this, you got your helmet on. Because if you fall, I'm sure you don't want to have your brains coming out of your skull. That would be a very bad day. So want to make sure, of course, you got your 3 points of contact when you're climbing up this ladder. Hand, foot, or any mixture of that. 3 points of contact minimum at all times climbing up this thing. And hold on to it for dear life, just in case it moves, until you are safely at the top. All right, let's go. I hate this part of the job, really. It is not safe. And starting here, I'm gonna be crawling on my hands and knees. All right, we're up here, guys. Hands and knees the entire time we're up here. And I had to move that tarp because I put a strap over top of it. But I'm gonna go ahead and unroll this stuff as quickly as I can and as safely as I can so I can get back down on the ground. Because here, we'll take a look over here. If you fall, it's a long way down. And it's not gonna be anything but you, gravity, the ground, and a prayer for your dear life on the way down if you fall off of this stuff. So I highly advise you do not stand up on top of the trailer or on top of the load and walk. Just crawl on your hands and knees the entire time. That's what I do every time. Even when I have fall protection, like if I did have a harness, I'd still crawl on my hands and knees just because it's more secure that way. Your center of gravity is closer to the trailer, the load, and you reduce the chance of falling. Because you have to think about it, while you're up here, there's a lot of fall hazards up on top of these loads. Look at these straps. You could trip over a strap. The load itself is not level. Some spots are higher than others. You can trip over that. It's wet. Like I told you guys before, this plastic, when it's wet, it's very slippery. You could slide, fall off, and there's definitely nothing for you to grab onto. Like I said, it's so slick up here, and these straps are down drum tight. You're not really going to be able to get your hand under there, deep there, if you're falling fast, to grab something to hold yourself before you go over the edge. So definitely do not play around when you're up here, whether it's dry, snowy, icy, or raining like it is right now. You could definitely severely injure yourself or lose your life if you fall off top of a load like this. This is definitely one of the reasons why flatbedders get paid more money, because of the danger that we have to deal with certain loads. And I know for sure this is one of the parts of my job that Mrs. Erudite does not like, and she hates that I have to do stuff like this, but you know, it's just part of the job. I signed up for it, so we just do what we can do safely and we'll be fine. So let's get to it. Okay, we got part of the tarp rolled out, and a few things about this. You need to make sure that once you roll the tarp out, or before you roll it out, you have a good mental inventory of where things are, where gaps are in the freight, because here on my passenger side, the load goes all the way back to right there. But on the driver's side, it cuts off a lot shorter. So you 100% don't want to forget about something like this. Fortunately, this is all the way in the back, but you don't want to forget about something like this, and you try to step to where you think there's something for you to walk on, and you end up falling through and crashing down to the ground. That's a bad fall. That's a bad fall. There's a lot of stuff for me to get caught up on the way down. There's those X straps there's the trailer, the ground, you would be severely injured. So make sure you are wary of that. And the other thing, you can see my tarp is not completely even. On TMC's tarps, they have these this line that goes down the middle of the tarp, so it makes it easy for you to evenly spread it out. But I have this part bunched up because that's where the ladder is. I'm not gonna try to put this over the edge of the tarp right there yet. And I'll even it out. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna climb back down and I'll pull on the tarp to even it out. And I'll be able to just eyeball it from the bottom to make sure that it's got an even amount of tarp on the passenger and the driver's side. I will do that once my feet are safely back down on the ground. The one thing that you do not want to do up here is try to stand up or even be kneeling on your hands and knees right here like I am and try to put any weight into pulling, like any of your body weight into pulling backwards, pulling the tarp one way or another. That is a surefire way to fall off. If the tarp gives way and you pull over too much more than you wanted and all your strength, your momentum pulls you backwards, you go right over the edge, okay? And you will lose your life, most likely hitting your head on concrete from this high up. At the very least, you will have a head injury, probably get knocked out, get a concussion. So definitely do not do that. Take as much time as you need to take when you're up here unwrapping these tarps, folding them out, because like I said, there's a lot of hazards up here. The weather, the load itself, the securement, it's a lot. So take your time, keep your center of gravity low, and even it out when you get to the bottom. Your life is more important than having a beautifully tarped load, trust me. But let's go ahead and get the rest of this out so that we can move on from this dangerous place up here. All right, let's roll out this last one. And one other thing I want to show you guys is, since it was raining out here, I had on my raincoat, but one of the fine details that you want to keep track of and be ready for when you're doing something like this is I have a whole rain suit, but I just have on the coat right now. I don't have on the pants. I have on my standard pants, and that's because this stuff can get slick, this material that the raincoats are made out of, and I don't want to have my knees that I'm using for stability to brace myself up here being slick on top of this already slick plastic and increasing the chances of me slipping, sliding, or falling off of this load. So I decided to just get wet knees in order to avoid having a problem up here. Just something to keep in mind, guys. You gotta watch out for everything when you're trying to be safe in inclement weather. Let's get this rolled out. I wanted to show you guys the whole process of me rolling that part of the tarp out, but the battery died, so I didn't get any of it, unfortunately. But you want to make sure that you're taking all the time that you need to roll it out and crawling around. So I only got a little bit of it left. Let you guys see that a little bit. All right, guys, we got everything secured and tarped down safely, and it took me longer than it normally would for something like this. We actually stuck around here long enough for my split log to start, so my clock is frozen right now, which is good because I got all that time back, all that duty time back on my clock that I used up while I was sitting here. But everything is looking very streamlined, as you can see that there. And we climbed down off that ladder safely, no injuries, and we didn't die falling off of that mess. They need to have something set up. It needs to be like in the rules or something. If a shipper does not have fall protection, like real fall protection, because that right there, that is not fall protection. Every shipper needs to have harnesses or like an elevated floor where you can stand on the ground and get to your load or something, you know, at a minimum, because it's just an accident waiting to happen, having to climb up on this. Imagine if I had to do this if the wind was blowing on top of the rain, or if it was snowing and it was icy out here and I had to climb up there and you have nothing to catch you if you fall. Yeah, but we made it through. Sometimes you're just gonna be put in a position where you gotta deal with it up until they make a change with it, I guess. But we're good. Everything's strapped down, tightened down, and we are bungeed. And we have about 8 hours to get to where we're going. But like I told you guys, they don't have on-site parking there. So we're gonna stop short. We already grabbed the BOL. And hold on, let me check something real quick. Let's see. Yeah, okay. The bad part about this, I can't remember if I already mentioned it or not, but this load has an appointment time, and the appointment time for this load is noon tomorrow. And for me to drive to this way station that I'm planning on parking at, it's only going to be about 7 hours, I think, 6.5, 7 hours, which would put me there at about 5 o'clock or so. So we're going to be done very early today, and unfortunately we can't deliver this load first thing in the morning. I can't arrive there for unload any earlier than 30 minutes before my appointment. So 11:30 is the soonest I can get there, so I could start my clock and get on the road at 10:30, get there at 11:30, and hopefully get unloaded quickly. But that part stinks, especially since I'll be getting done so early. I would like to start first thing in the morning and get unloaded at like 7 or something, but them's the rules, guys. Got to stick with the appointments. Some customers are going to be very strict on your appointments. The majority of the customers that I deal with here, you know, we don't have very hardcore appointment times. It's more like a window. So, and the majority of them is like, you know, from whenever their receiving hours begin to whenever their receiving hours end, or usually it's like an hour before their receiving hours end, because they don't want you to show up at, like, say they're a shipper, or no, a consignee closes their receiving hours at like 3 o'clock. They'll say they want you to arrive no later than 2 o'clock, because they don't want you to arrive at like 2:45 when they're packing up and getting ready to leave, and you need to be unloaded right then. You know, so that's the idea behind that. But we'll just do what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a lot of downtime to rest today and tomorrow morning, and you know, get other things done. If you guys have seen my other video where I got stuck at that steel unloader place out in Missouri, I was out there for 5 hours. You should check that video out. I'll put a link to that video or a card somewhere around here so you guys can check that out. But yeah, if I got stuck waiting for 5 hours with my clock running, you know, I can deal with it, you know, being on a longer than normal 10-hour reset. It's going to be like a much longer than 10-hour reset. So we are not in any kind of rush today. The only thing that we got to do is get to our planned parking space, and by the time we get there, there's going to be plenty of parking spaces left there still. I guarantee it. So we'll stop for fuel, because I believe we're around 3/8, and this insulation load weighs like 6,300 pounds, so it's extremely light. So I'm going to fill up my tanks and just coast. I don't need to stop for a 30-minute break, or I probably won't need to unless there's like some traffic on the way down there. And I don't really have anything that I need to do. I'm not on the list to get the truck washed, because I just got the truck washed last Friday. So not going to be stopping anywhere for that. Just going to be an early into my day, I guess, today, guys. But let's go ahead and get on the road. And I don't think there's anything else major that I need to show you guys. I'm still annoyed by my camera cutting off, because I wanted to show you guys how I was rolling out that tarp up there in real time. You know, how cautious I was being, but you guys get the idea on that. Oh, still, if you guys noticed, I'm not wearing a coat or a hoodie or anything now, because it is comfortable here in South Carolina, just like it was yesterday in North Carolina. And we're going down in Florida because, like I said, that snow is still kicking a lot of the country's butt right now. It's 41 degrees here in South Carolina where I am, but
my body feels very comfortable here. I'm like acclimated to the temperature, even though 41 degrees is not warm in all reality. But yeah, let's go ahead and go, guys. All right, we ran into a snag on the way down to Florida. We're like 2 hours away from the way station that I was planning on parking at today. And we had an error code pop up on the dash here. That right there. Give you guys, there it is. And there was a derate message on there as well. That went away. And the derate message is never good. A lot of the time when you have a derate message pop up, if it just says like engine derate in 3 hours or engine derate in 1 hour or something like that, the first thing that road repair does is they usually want to check your fuel filter and see if it's clean, if it needs to be changed. A lot of the time, whenever I've experienced that, you know, like usually just changing out the fuel filter will remedy the issue. But you always want to check with them and let them know. I changed my fuel filter in this one like a day ago, just because it was getting dirty. And in the wintertime that happens more frequently. I can't remember the exact reason. I don't know if it's because of, you know, fuel not being treated, you know, a certain way. I don't remember the reason, but I always find it being more common that I need to change my fuel filters out more frequently during the wintertime months. But this one's got a fresh fuel filter in it, so I don't know what that issue is, or if it's just like a sensor or something that's gonna need to be changed or whatever, I don't know. But I already put in my breakdown. I'm sitting at a pilot now in Georgia, not too far off from the Florida state line. Like I said, we only got 2 hours to go to get to where I was planning on parking. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna have to do now, or if they're gonna route me to get this repaired, or what it's gonna take. I'm waiting for them to provide further instruction on what we need to do here. But needless to say, it's putting a bit of a damper in my plans for sure. I was planning on having an early day, being done very early. Right now it's like 5:30, so we'll see. Hopefully it's something that I can take care of here. Sometimes they'll have you try to run a manual regen on the truck, you know, if it's an issue that's brought up by, like, you know, soot in the exhaust pipes, or exhaust pipe I should say, because in these trucks only one of the exhaust smokestacks actually blows out smoke. It's the one on the passenger side. So sometimes you can do a manual regen and you can burn it off basically, and that clears things out, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna wait for this update, and I'll let you guys know what's up. Wish me luck. All right, just got done communicating with road repair. Sent them pictures of the error codes, the fault codes that came up on the Trimble, and of that indicator light that I showed you guys. And I guess they ran it through their system, or they reviewed it, however they do when they see that stuff. And they said I'm good to keep on driving, that those codes should clear themselves out after a few hours, but just to keep an eye on it, and check in with them again tomorrow after I've delivered this load to see if that check engine light's still on or not. And hopefully it will be gone by then. Like I said, I changed that fuel filter, and everything should be good, but we'll see. Keep an eye on it. But back to the road, 2 hours to go. All right, things are still not good. In fact, they got a little bit worse actually. I was on the highway, drove about 30 minutes, and the derate message popped up again. So let me show you. I had to pull off the highway so that I could contact, or try to contact, road repair. But I made it here to a truck stop, and I'll show you. Look at that. When I pulled off the highway, I was parked, and that's the message that was there. Derate in 13 minutes. It went from no derate message at all to derate in 15 minutes. Thankfully, I was close-ish to a truck stop. I barely made it here before the derate time counted all the way down. when I got here at this truck stop, I only had 6 minutes left on that counter. I don't know exactly what would have happened when the D-rate, if it made it to 0. I'm sure the engine would have like lost power and I would have only been able to drive so fast. It would have been bad, I'm sure. But that SRC indicator light is on still. But the funny thing, and I'm not a mechanic and I don't know the electrical workings of this, but when I got here, I parked. As soon as I put the truck into neutral, that D-rate message went away. So I forwarded all that information to road repair, and I'm just sitting here. And realistically, I don't really think that it's gonna be the best idea for me to get back on the road right now with that D-rate message popping up and doing what it's doing, because, you know, if I had been somewhere that was farther than 15 minutes away, I mean, I don't know what I could have done. I mean, I would have had to, you know, try to do an emergency stop, you know, on the side of the highway, put my triangles out or something. I don't know, because I would hate to be stranded out there if the D-rate message hits and I run out of time while I'm on the highway. I mean, I don't think there are any other truck stops that are close to here. That's why I don't really want to get back on the road. I'm waiting to see what road repair tells me to do, or if they're going to send somebody to, you know, tow the truck to somewhere. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. I'm annoyed by it for sure. Today was off to a really good start, and this is just a little thorn in my side right now, especially since we are only 3 hours away from the delivery location, and like an hour and a half roughly from where I was going to be camping out for the night. But that plan might be shot down depending on how this goes. But that's one of the things that goes on in trucking sometimes. There's never a convenient time for a breakdown. Never ever. So you can only hope that you're in the best scenario that you can be in when the breakdown happens. Like here, I was close enough to a truck stop that I was able to get off the road, and I'm actually in a truck stop with a space. Well, not plenty of spaces, but some spaces. All you need is one space for yourself. I only got one truck. So we're here. We've still got like 4 hours on our clock available, but I'm not trying to drive that, not with a truck that's thrown up weird codes and is not being reliable. Like I said, I don't know what it is. It's probably something with a sensor, or, you know, something minor, because it's not the fuel filter. I don't know exactly what the SRC is, if that's like a you know, an electrical component or something like that. Let me know in the comments, because I'm not a diesel mechanic and I'm not an electrician for trucks either, so I don't know exactly what that is. I wish, if this were going to happen, that stuff with the D-rate had just stayed there when I was at the Pilot, because at least that way I would have been able to, you know, hang out at a place where I can shower and everything. I got a shower like yesterday because I parked at the Pilot last night. But, you know, you can never be too clean. But I'll give you guys an update once I have one. And hopefully we don't have to give up this load, you know, for a trailer swap for somebody else if we end up having to go to a shop and we're down for, you know, a day or something like that. We got the majority of the driving done with what we have here, so if we had to split the revenue with another driver, we would get the lion's share of it. But still, I want 100%. But it is what it is. Check in with you guys in a bit. Okay, made it to the DOT way station. We're parked for the night. We got here a bit later than I had planned on, just because of having to pull over and look at those dashboard indicator lights, and trying to make contact with road repair and see what we needed to do. It's about 10 o'clock now. We would have gotten here at 7 o'clock if we had just run straight through from the pickup location this morning to here where we are in Florida. But that's all right. Right now we are still moving. When I stopped to update them about that D-rate, they told me that I can still drive like that. basically as long as it doesn't drop below a certain speed that would lock the engine and make it crawl. I don't know exactly how fast, but the weird thing about that is that while I was driving on the road, the derate message went away again. So that's what's making me think it's like something with a sensor, or I don't know if there's like there's some dirt or soot, like I said, in the smokestack. When I got here, I sat and let the engine run and let it do the regen. I tried to do the manual regen, and it was not activating for some reason, so it was just doing its own auto regen. You know, I just let the engine idle for a little bit. But most likely, I'm gonna get routed to a shop tomorrow after I deliver this load. I'm an hour and 20 minutes away from the delivery location, and as I told you guys already, we can't deliver until 11:30 at the earliest tomorrow, so we'll do that. My priority is just getting rid of this stuff, getting it off the trailer, so at least we get the revenue from this delivery. You know, it would kind of be pointless to do a trailer swap now. Whoever will pick this load up for me would get like no money off the revenue split, because like I said, I'm only an hour and a half away from the delivery. Yeah, we'll deal with that tomorrow. And had a close call on the way here. Like, coming down the highway, we're on I-95. So coming down the highway, you know, when you come up to some of these rest areas and some of these DOT way stations where they have parking, there will be a sign on the side of the highway, on the passenger side on the road there. And it'll tell you how many parking spaces are left in the lot, either the rest area or the DOT way station area where you can park. Not all of them, but some of them for this road here. And when I was coming up to this one, it said that there were 0 parking spaces left at the DOT way station. And I was like, oh man, because this was like the second to last place that I could park before I got to the Constantine. There's like a Love's that's like farther down I-95, farther south, but I know for a fact that that place is going to be filled up. I know it. I didn't even look on Trucker Path to verify, because I just knew it would be. This area is like swarmed and gets filled up with all the truck stops. They get filled up early all the time. But fortunately for me, even though the sign said that there were 0 parking spaces here, when I actually pulled around, when I drove across that way where the scales, you know, they'll read you and let you know if you actually need to get on the scale or if you can just bypass. Fortunately, I was able to see, and there were like a whole bunch of parking spaces over here still. There was like at least 6 or 7 empty parking spaces, even though the sign on the highway said that there were 0 spots. So take that with a grain of salt. You know, the stuff that you see on those signs, those electronic signs that tell you how many parking spaces are left, they may not always be accurate. You know, and I had nothing to lose. You know, I had to come here. I had to come here and try it, and it worked out for me, fortunately. But that's what I was telling you guys. These DOT way stations, they're good spots to use, you know, if you need somewhere to park. Because most guys don't want to come over here because they don't want to possibly run afoul with DOT or give DOT a reason to come out and inspect them. And I'm not saying that it never happens, but any of the times that I've ever parked at a DOT way station, I've never seen the DOT officers actually walking around inspecting the trucks that are parked here overnight. I mean, maybe it's because like you have to go through this lane here where the scales are, and they get to weigh you and they know if you're a legal weight or not, and then they kind of they get to look at your truck like kind of like a quick view, because at a lot of DOT weigh stations, when you come in there to weigh, like before you pull into the lane, like you're coming off the highway, when you're coming through that way, there will be like a camera pointed at your truck, and it'll see inside the truck what you're doing. They'll see if you're wearing your seatbelt. They'll see if you have like a cell phone in your hand, you know, or something like that, or if you're fumbling around with your GPS, because they'll consider all of that stuff interacting with the device. You know, if you're messing with your phone or you're touching your GPS, you're pinging it on it or something like this while you're driving. If they see you doing that, they will probably pull you around back and write you a violation for, you know, being distracted while you're driving, and they'll definitely get you for not wearing your seatbelt. And then they have another they have another camera, and I can't really see it. Actually, yeah, you can. They have another camera, and let me turn this turn this light off so you guys can see it a little bit better. All right, now that's the DOT scale area over there where those red lights are. Now when you go over there, when you stop on the scale and they're weighing your truck, you're checking all your axles, they will have a camera pointed in your truck a lot of the times to see what you're doing while you're sitting there, and they're also sitting inside the building. They can look at you, but they are definitely monitoring you. Get the light here. They're definitely monitoring you, okay? So make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and not doing what you're not supposed to be doing when you pull through these areas, because they will get you if you're not careful. But like I said, these are good areas to find parking in Florida and in Georgia. And I think I've done the same thing at DOT weigh stations up in Baltimore as well. I guess Maryland technically, but near the Baltimore area, like some of those weigh stations, they have large parking lots, because you can even see across the highway here. That's the northbound side of the highway. That's another parking area, and I can see, you can't really see it as well through my camera here, but there's a lot of parking spaces open over there as well, and it is currently 11 o'clock at night. Now I can guarantee I would put any amount of money that all of the truck stops in this area, like we're an hour and a half north of Orlando, Florida, all of the truck stops and all of the rest areas are going to be completely filled up with trucks right now. All of the rest areas that I drove past on the way down here were already filled up. I saw it from the highway, and I checked Trucker's Path before I headed down this way when I was at that last truck stop where I was checking on that D-rate message. All the truck stops were already showing as full. The truck stops and the rest areas. So just keep that in mind. You know, when you're in Florida, you got to park early. If you're not going to be able to park at your consignee, park early, or, you know, keep your eyes open for a DOT weigh station. And just make sure your truck's in good order, like you should be doing anyway, and you don't have to worry about anything when you come to these DOT scales here. I mean, like I said, when I come down through these places, if I ever get inspected by these guys, I always make money every time, because TMC pays me when I get these clean inspections, so I'm not worried about it ever. But it's time for me to camp out for the night. I'm gonna go ahead and eat. Since I'm gonna be here for a while, I'll probably try to get a workout in. I planned on doing all of that stuff a lot earlier if I had gotten here as early as I was planning to this morning, but it is what it is. That's how it goes sometimes. So we'll eat, exercise, and we'll sleep. I think I'll get on the road tomorrow around 10 a.m. Yeah, because I'm like an hour and a half away. So 10 a.m., 11, 11:30. Yeah, that should work out all right. And most likely they'll be sending me to some repair shop to get this truck's codes looked at so I can get out of there. As long as I'm able to get that stuff done and still make it home, you know, not too far from where well, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am actually. But we're within 1 day's drive of me getting home for Friday, so I got a little bit of time. But I'll check with you guys in the morning once we get to the consignee. All right, guys, it's been a morning for sure. I tried to get up this morning doing my pre-trip earlier before my clock actually refreshed, just because that's the way I like to roll. I want to catch things early if I can. And the truck would not start. It would crank, but the engine would not turn over. Was able to get that fixed. As you can hear, maybe in the background, the truck is running now. But I had to get with road repair and let them know what was going on. I was hoping I wasn't gonna have to get towed out of here. It took them a while to walk me through what I needed to do. Me sending them messages, them sending stuff back, you know, the time between, it took a while, but it's like 10:37 right now, which is like 37 minutes later than I wanted to be leaving, but it's better than not leaving at all. But long story short, I had to prime the engine. I had to prime the engine for the truck, and the fuel filter had nothing in it, so I guess no fuel being in there for whatever reason was keeping the engine from getting started. And they had me pour some fuel treatment in the fuel filter. It's not cold out here, so it's not like I had any gelled up fuel. Like, I'm in Florida and it's like 45 degrees, but I had to do that and prime the fuel line, and the truck started like on the second attempt of priming the engine, so that's positive. I have not turned the truck off. I want to try to get this load delivered and see what's going on after that. I don't know if they're still going to have me go to get the truck serviced now or not. I'm not sure, because that SRC fault is on the dash, but road repair said I can keep on rolling with that. I don't know, I guess for who knows how long. I'm supposed to have service in like a couple of weeks, but I don't know what their plans are for that. As far as like me getting that SRC looked at, I don't know. I'll check in with them once I'm done delivering this load. But I'm ready, man, for this finesse to be over with. Like I said previously, it's never a good time for a breakdown. Never a good time for any fault codes to pop up on your dashboard. It's always annoying. But you work your way through it, and it just adds up some experience for the next time you might be dealing with something. Now I know a little bit more about priming a pump on these trucks. I've never had to do that before, so just another tool added to my knowledge belt. But let's go ahead and get rolling. My pre-trip time is almost done on the clock, so I'm gonna get rolling so that we can arrive at a good time. We'll get there around noon, so that's fine. Right when my appointment was supposed to be anyway. It's all good. Let's go. All right, we made it. We got to the consignee here, and I'm partially unstrapped, untarped now, just waiting. I've been sitting here for a while, but I'm glad that I made it. Didn't have any issues along the way, and it warmed up quite a bit. As you can see, no hoodie on, no hat, nothing. Down here in Florida where I am, it is 73 degrees right now. 73 degrees, about 1 p.m. And the rest of the country, or further up north, is dealing with sub-zero temperatures right now. So I don't envy that. Florida isn't the ideal place for me to be as far as like money goes, at least in the history that I've had it coming down here, but I'd rather deal with this right now than the snow, at least the way that the snow is currently, with a lot of people having accidents and going off-road and, you know, having a lot of problems. It's pretty dangerous to be driving on the roads up north right now. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. Not sure where we're going to be going after this. I haven't put in my empty yet because there's still at least 3 trucks ahead of me right now. As you can see, kind of just been circling around from the back here. You can't see the other drivers, but there's like 3 or 4 more trucks behind mine, and it's been slow going here. I don't know if the workers were at lunch or how the system works here, because I've never been here before. But I got here right around 12 o'clock, maybe slightly after, like 12:10 or something like that. So it's all good. We just got to get unloaded, and I don't know exactly how long I'm going to be here. I don't know if it's going to be long enough for them to send me a pre-plan or what. Like, there's some places that I've been to regularly when I've been in the Orlando area. Like, I know we have MyTech around here. There's a Home Depot distribution center. There's the Certainteed in Palatka. I mean, those are the closest places that I know of to my current location. But even with that, you know, each of those places is at least an hour and a half away. You know, Palatka, I think, is like 2 hours and some change away from where I am. So I might be in for a little bit of a drive once we get out of here. I mean, that's assuming that there's any freight available at any of those places. I mean, I would assume that Certainteed and Palatka probably always has loads that they can ship out. I think all of those Certainteeds are usually like that. I know Silver Grove and Palatka always have, you know, freight moving. Always, regardless of what time I show up at those places. So there's always something that you can pick up, or a preload that you can get for the next day or something. But we'll deal with that when we get to it. Now, the issue that I have here, though, or hopefully it won't be an issue that I have, but when I put in my empty, I'm hoping to get dispatched on something quickly, because there is nowhere to park around here at all. Nowhere. Like, I think the closest place in any direction from where I currently am is like an close to an hour away. I mean, maybe if I backtrack the way that I came, you know, the closest place was like a rest area that way, but still, even with that, that's gonna be like, you know, maybe 40 minutes of driving in that direction. So I would hate to be driving in a certain direction to find a place to just go park and sit, and then I end up getting dispatched on something that has me going in an entirely different direction. So trying to time it properly so that we can keep things moving steadily. But I'll check in with you guys once I have some traction on this stuff either way. And I think I got helmet head for sure. My hair is smashed down, but it's comfortable out here though. The weather is nice. I'll consider myself fortunate that I'm not in the snow right now, because dealing with those tarps that I had on this load would have been a problem, because your lumber tarps or your steel tarps do not want to fold up compactly. They won't roll up tightly at all when they are cold and hard. So mine were nice and warm and rolled up very, very tightly. Fit into the headache rack, no problem. So I guess I'm gonna hang out here, get something to eat and chill out until I start getting unloaded. So check in with you guys in a bit. Okay guys, we're getting unloaded right now. I don't think it's gonna take very long. They're taking off 2 bundles at a time with their forklifts there. So, these guys here are actually the one that's behind the truck. But I just put in my empty, and at the rate that he's going, I don't think that I'm gonna have a dispatch before he's finished, unless something really quick comes up and they sort that out like in the next 10 or 15 minutes. But in the event that they do not, I'm just gonna backtrack. I'm gonna go back to the last rest area that I saw on my way in here, which is like 25 minutes away. And I will have some out of route for that. But when you go out of route for things like this, like to find somewhere to park while you're waiting for dispatch, if your consignee does not have parking, or if you have to go out of route for fuel, or if you have to go out of route for like a detour, you know, the road's closed down or something's going on like that, all you got to do is keep track of the out of route miles that you've driven, and then let your fleet manager know about that, at least for TMC. Let your fleet manager know how many out of route miles you drove, and then they will subtract that from your out of route percentage calculation that goes on your snapshot. Every month they calculate what your pay percentage is going to be, because when you're trying to get to the top of the scale, the little bits matter. You know, out of route excuse me, out of route matters a lot if you're trying to get to the like the 32-33% mark. And well, there we go. As I was speaking, I just got dispatched. It took less than 5 minutes for me to get dispatched, and like I said, guys, you know, they could have something that's on board just waiting, just ready, or I could be waiting for a little bit. You know, it's happened both ways. You know, really just depends on where you are and what time it is and what's available. But I think that's a good place for me to cut the video, guys. I'm still getting unloaded. I should be done, but I'm gonna go ahead and do my trip planning for my next load. It's been a unwanted adventure messing around with that. Lost my train of thought there. But it's been an unwanted adventure messing around with that check engine light stuff that was going on yesterday. But we're up and rolling right now. We're roadworthy, according to road repair, and the truck is driving fine. It's not sounding strange. So on to the next one. I appreciate all of you guys watching. I'll see you in the next video.